Hey, hey everybody, welcome on into the Clay Share studio. This is our weekly live broadcast. I'm Jessica Putnam-Phillips and I'm going to teach you all how to make a pocket magnet. Now, I already have 2 tutorials available on making different pocket magnets. I have my bird pocket magnet class. That's free. Everybody, you can go watch that one. That's the image I shared for this of those super cute bird pocket magnets. We're not going to make those. Don't be disappointed, because we already made them. I already got the class, so you can watch that. I wanted to do something new and fun. I also have this mini cactus like magnet planter thing that I did, which is a very similar style to the bird pocket magnet. And we're not making this either because, again, there is a class on this. So this cactus pocket magnet, which is ultimately cute, you can go and watch the class and make that. So we're going to make another one with a different shape, but it's all the same basic ideas, and it's a really simple hand building class. This class is really great because you can also make it out of air dry clay. So if you're watching this and you're like, first time finding me, and you're like, but I don't have a kiln and I don't have glazes, okay. You don't need those things for this particular class. You can get yourself some air dry clay and then just use some acrylic paint, paint it, and then seal it with a acrylic sealer. You're good to go. All right, I'm going to address the question you all want to know. Well, why do I want to make a little pocket magnet? What do I put in the pocket? Well, I try to put air ferns in there. I often kill them. You're not supposed to be able to kill air ferns, but I can. So yeah, put some air ferns in there and hopefully yours will live. It's not the magnet's fault. It's not the pocket magnet's fault that your air ferns die. That's your fault, or my fault. Just putting it out there for everyone. I know it's my fault. I think I drowned my things, dealing with it. But other things, people will put little notes in here, you know, if you have children in your life and they bring you those sweet little flowers they like to pick for you, or some sweet little thing, you could put that in there as a keepsake and you have it on your fridge. Also, it's a magnet, so it can hold things like papers and stuff on your refrigerator. It looks cute, right? There's like tons of things, right? We're checking off everything. The other thing you could do is you could go the next step further and sculpt some little succulents or some little flowers and stick them in here, and now you've made a magnet sculpture, right? So you don't have to put anything in it at all. You can just make it a sculpture and it'll be good to go. So, alrighty. So you made the bird pocket magnets for Christmas presents. People love them. I love that, Monica. Yeah, so the reason I have no bird pocket magnets to show you today is because when I had my last open studio event, I had quite a few, and people went crazy for them and bought every single one. And I didn't keep any to the side for myself, and I haven't had a chance to make more. So we're going to make more. So what do you need? Well, if you're using air dry clay, you got your air dry clay. I'm using just some stoneware clay. You can use any clay for this. If you're thinking about testing new glazes out or new clays out, this is a good project for that. It's also great for scrap clay. So if you got a few little pieces of clay floating around from a bigger project, just use that clay for this. Then you don't have a magnetic fridge. Judy, same here. I have a stainless steel fridge. We cannot put magnets on it anymore. That is why you'll notice there's a little alteration. I put a little tiny hole, I don't know if y'all can see, in the back of that so I can hang it somewhere, because when I started making these, my fridge did take magnets, but now they don't. So maybe you have a magnetic board in an office or in your craft room, and you could hang it on one of those, right? Or you just put a nail somewhere and you hang it on the nail. Works out perfectly, however you want to do it. All right, I like to make it easy on myself and use cookie cutters, any shape. I got this cute cupcake one that I've been dying to use, so we're going to make cupcakes. I also have a super cute kitty cat face. How sweet would a kitty cat face magnet be, or just a hanging, right? So it could be a wall hanging. I got this unicorn one, but it's a little teeny. I don't think it's going to work. The teacup one would be fun, you know. And we're going to do a lot of the things that we do in I did a class where we made the farmhouse chicken mug, and we talked about, we put that chicken that we cut out with a cookie cutter on the front, but we could have made that a pocket. So it's the same idea. You're making a little pocket. So you could make a pocket on a cup and use it for your tea bag. a house, make a little house magnet. So we got all these things. Let's roll out some clay. It's a really cute idea. And the side of your stainless steel fridge works for magnets. Perfect, Maureen. My fridge is actually in cabinets, so I can't use the side. I know. So in my studio, the breaker box for my kilns, that's magnetic, like it's metal. So I stick magnets on it all the time. So we're going to take our clay, and if you haven't rolled out a slab, for this, if you don't have scrap clay and you don't have a slab going, we're just going to quickly roll out a couple pounds of clay. This is a good project for not using a lot of clay. So I'd say this is about 1 inch and a half, 1.25 inches thick, just cut off. And I'm going to pull you Instagram folks down so you can see too. Yay! Your magnet stuff is on the side of your toaster oven. See, we're all getting ideas. Where can I stick my magnets? So we're just going to roll the slab. And in prime time next, I'm going to show rolling out a big slab. We talked a bit about that on Facebook today. So I'm going to do a little rolling out large slab tutorial. For one, people who don't have a slab roller, and two, for people who have a slab roller that sometimes even though you got a slab roller, you still got to roll out a slab to put through your slab roller. I am very lucky. My slab roller will let me take a 3-inch hunk of clay and just feed it in. So I don't really have to pre-roll a slab before I put it in my slab roller, but you do have to prepare your clay. All right, so I do have a demo on rolling a slab out there, so you can go and watch that if you want to learn how to roll a slab like I'm doing. But you'll notice I'm kind of turning it a little bit if I remember. Ideally, you should turn it a 1/4 turn every time. And you roll down the sides and the middle, but you stop before you go off the end. And that's how you keep your slab nice and even. If you roll off the end, you get a slope, and that creates thin sides. And you don't want that. Now for something like this, we're not using a lot of clay, so it's not that big of a deal if the side is thin. But if I was making a plate and I needed to use that side of clay, that could be a problem, right? All right, so we made this about 1/4 inch thick. You can go a little thinner if you want. Smaller things we can get away with thinner slabs of clay. Thicker things, you want thicker slabs of clay. If using air dry clay, let it dry, coat it with sodium silicate, dries rock hard, and then it can be painted. Yes, exactly. And you know, air dry clay is a really great alternative for those who don't have access to a kiln all the time and they want to still continue working on ceramic projects. I should say clay projects because it's technically not ceramic. But as long as they're not for food, it's perfectly fine. Although, epoxy it and it could be food safe. Not to throw more ideas out there. Okay, so now we have our slab. Do you want to put texture on it? Yes, you do. You do. You don't have to, but I like to. And, you know, I've found there's lots of texture options. You know, you have wooden rolling pins. We all know how I feel, how much I love wooden rolling pins. You can use stamps you made. You can use stamps you bought. You can use textured rollers that you made, like these right here. So I've got some of those that I made. You could use stamps you made. I'm going to grab some of my stamps out. Got a little box of stamps that we can use. And the great thing about stamps, and I have a few tutorials on making them, is you can just have a really good time making lots of different patterns, and you just turn and twist them, and soon you've covered your whole sheet of clay in a unique way. And it's a good way to practice your making stamp skills because it's good to do that. What else do I have for stamps? Oh, I got more down here. Is air dry clay impervious to moisture when dry? It is not, Judy. No, so when you use air dry clay, you got to seal it with something. And so sodium silicate was an option that was thrown out. You could use that. Usually what I do is I just paint with acrylic paint, and then you can spray it with a sealer. That doesn't make it food safe. What would is if you use some resin. So if you put epoxy resin that's rated as food safe on it, then you could use that. So I got some more stamps. And so we got so many things. I'm going to be very bad and use a rolling pin you guys can't get. My Pin Flowers rolling pin. But I'm still going to use it. I'm going to use it for some, not all. And then we'll use the others for others, because we're going to make a couple different things. I got a mason jar. I'm definitely going to make something with a mason jar. I have got the house, and I've got the cupcake. So my plan is to try to make 3 if we have time. We'll see where we get. I don't know. Can you wheel throw with air dry clay? I've never tried it. I don't think it would survive the process. I think it would go mushy and turn to mush. It's like air dry is kind of like using your homemade dough, like we use for art dough when you make cookies and stuff. So this one is going to be the house, and we've got 2 parts. We're going to have the back and then the front. So I'm going to cut, and I'm just picking what I want for each. The front is going to show, the front bottom is going to show a lot, and then the top back. So that's where you want your best texture choices. So I think down here is my best texture choices for the back. So there's a back. And then for the front, you don't want to just cut another one. It needs to be bigger. We have to have enough space so that we can make that pocket, right? So what I like to do is we'll make it a little bit wider. Usually a total of a 1-inch difference between that. So we need it to be 1 inch wider. I'm going to roll a little more. I'm going to roll a little more texture on. Okay. So that way I have it a little bigger. And then we're going to go ahead and cut out a bit bigger. So it's going to be my front. You know what? Let's go sideways. I know, crazy. So I'm going to free cut about a 1/2 inch on each side. And you can go ahead and test and see if that's enough for you. There. So we have a rectangle, but it's going to make a pocket. See? And if you decide that that's too much, you can trim a little off. So you need that, but you need one more part. You need to have a little bit of a bottom. And because this is going to be this house, I'm just going to take the bottom of the house, stand it up, and cut with this. You can make your own craft foam templates with these. You know, you can free cut from any shape you have. It doesn't have to be cookie cutters. Cookie cutters are just really handy. Really handy to work with because a lot of us have them. They're inexpensive. So where did I get these? All over. I get them at craft stores. I get them online. My mom sends me some. So I just hunt them down. The cookie cutter hunter. All right. So here we've got a board with what's going to become the back, right? Let me scooch this off to the side. We're going to make the house first, and then we'll make the cupcake second. The cupcake has to be made with like yummy stuff though, right? And then I like to do my side next. So you decide how deep your pocket wants to be. This one's going to be a big magnet. This could potentially be too big for your fridge. Like it might not hang unless you do, goodness, like 6 magnets on it or something. All right, so I'm just going to cut my sides straight. I trimmed it down a little bit. I thought it was a little too big. And so let's take a look at that. Oh, I think that's a good pocket. It makes it look more like an envelope, less like a house. I don't know, though. What do you all think? You go to Amazon for your cookie cutters. I often do, too. Yeah, that's a great place to get them. All right, now, oh, I left my slip over at the wheel throwing station. I'll have to go grab it. My slip, it's at the wheel throwing station. Oh, if you can find it, yeah. And I'll work on the next one. So we're gonna let this one sit up for a sec while I get my slip so we can join it, and my serrated ribs over there too. And we're gonna do our cookie cutter one. I mean our cupcake cookie cutter, which that's gonna be something yummy. I don't have anything like candy for a rolling pin, but I do have some ultimately sweet little floral stamps that I can just stamp around with, right? So that's a simple one right there. This is fun. Little swirls. So you can make your own texture plates, and I have a tutorial on that, where if you stamp into a sheet of clay like this, and you love what you've done so much, and you want that texture to be something you can recreate over and over, but you don't want to stamp it every time, because I can see where that gets a little monotonous. You can make your very own texture plate, and then you will have that texture forever. So this one right here, this stamp, look, it's just a rounded square. It's not anything spectacular, but it creates a little negative space, which is kind of nice. All right, so, oh, look how it looks like whipped cream on there a little bit. I got to put that at the top. So cupcake. Now remember, this clay will shrink. So when you're making your pieces, it might seem like it's going to be crazy big, but in fact, it will shrink up depending on the clay. This one shrinks about 10%, 11% actually, but you know, for math, making math simple. All right, so there's a little pocket on the cupcake, and then we need our bottom. So let's just cut a little scrap off. All right, so we got two ready to assemble. Let's go ahead and do those. The Moroccan tile's not available yet. No, no. I will, if you want to know more about the Clayshare rolling pins, about my rolling pins, you can find information on ClayshareMarket.com, and you can also find them on the Clayshare Market Instagram and Facebook page. That's where I started putting the information regarding the rolling pins, not on Clayshare, just to keep Clayshare from getting clogged up with too much rolling pin stuff. So these are our bottoms. I'm just going to set them off to the side. Now, taking a damp finger, I'm just slightly rounding my edges to make sure they're not sharp. Now, we'll do the same thing for our little pocket piece here. And let's slip and score. So I'm going to slip and score the back. I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom too while I'm at it. Slip and score the sides. So this is going to be straight on join right here. So this one definitely is going to be big enough to hang, you know, put it on a little nail or something, make a little hanging. And if you make your pocket big, you'll be able to put all kinds of things down in there. So let's go ahead and seal our inside seam. And what I like to use, lift it up, is one of these little color shapers. And you just smooth that along the inside there, and that should take care of your seam. Also here, the point that this is going to crack mostly is right here. Right where the pocket part meets the back at the top. This little tiny bit right there. And it's because this area dries first, and also I think people forget to take their time to really join that well. And so we just join that really well. Don't have to worry on that one. Now let's put our bottom on. And the bottom is great because we plop it on, and if we need to trim it, which we will, we just do it as needed. And if you decide that your pocket needs a little more volume to it, your last chance to do that is before you put that bottom piece on. So you can go in with your fingers and hold, see I'm holding the sides so it doesn't pop my joining, but you can adjust that pocket a little bit. And if you decide you want your pocket to be more of a rounded shape coming out further, if you want to flatten it out more like an envelope. All right, so we're going to sit this on here. And when I pull it away, you'll see where I need to slip and score. And I actually, by doing that, it's given me a little bit of a guideline as to where to cut it. So we're just going to cut right along. There. And then we just attach it. Now if you decide you want a different attachment and you don't want to see the bottom and you want to cut it to fit inside, you can just make it a little smaller and then stick it in there. But I usually stick mine on the outside like this, and then cleaning up my seam with a damp finger, round that over a bit, and then any excess, like there's a little bit there, just pop that right off down here. Might need to trim a little bit off the very bottom, just like this. Just pull that off. Now while it's wet like this, I don't really want to move it around too much. Probably could lift it up if I wanted to and get inside, but I like to leave it still, just so that I don't mess with it too much. I'm going to take my color shaper again, and I'm just going to smooth that seam on the inside. Now the other thing you can do, if you don't have a color shaper, not everybody has one, nor do you have to have one, it's just a handy little tool. If you have a small brush, little craft brush, you can mix that in some slip, and then you can use your brush to smooth your seams instead. So there's our little house pocket done. That was pretty easy. Now let's make the cupcake. Would this one be too heavy? This one might be. Yeah, that's a bigger one. So I'd mentioned this one probably gets hung on a nail, but the cupcake one should shrink down enough, and it will probably take care of that excess weight as it shrinks down.
You could put multiple magnets on the back.
I mean, you could go, yeah, I mean, as far as magnets go, if you wanted to put however many magnets on the back to get it to stay, you can do whatever you want, right? There's no stopping at all. Nothing's going to stop you. You all can put however many magnets you want, and you can just stick it on anything. You put it on your car and it won't fall off. You put enough magnets on it, drive around with your pocket magnet on your car. Why not? I mean, you only get one life to live. Got to have fun while you're doing it. If that's what makes you happy, you do it. All right, I'm going to trim this a bit. I've got a little more of an angle than I want, so I'm just going to trim that down. Let's see how that's. There we go. All right, so we're going to slip and score. Sides here. Sides here. Then we'll attach it. If you're making really big pockets, like, you know, I have my envelope wall pocket class, If you want to adapt this to a version of like that, you certainly can. And if you find that they're sagging, stuff some little plastic in there or newsprint or something, or newspaper. You know, put it inside there to hold your shape. Let's use our little brush. These are easy. If you're looking for projects to do, if you're teaching a class of beginners, if you're looking for a way to use up a bunch of scrap clay, if you've got kids in your life and you want to give them something to do, this is a great thing to do. Okay, so here's our bottom. We definitely don't need all of it. Oh yeah. I'm going to go ahead and trace. I'm just holding this up against the bottom, and I traced out the shape, and then cut. Let's check that. We'll still trim a little more off it, but it gets me started, right? Put this on. You get your magnets off Amazon. They're really heavy duty. I have found Amazon to be a great source for things like magnets. Yeah. The ones I buy, about the size of a nickel. Here in the US, do they even use nickels anymore? I mean, I think nickels are still, who knows, used. But they're about that big, and usually I just put one on. I really don't have any magnets right here. I usually put one on and that's enough, but sometimes if I'm making a bigger thing, I'll put a second one on. All right, so I'm just going to finish this off by smoothing the edge here. So that's the cupcake one. Cute, right? It looks like a cupcake still, and it has that fun texture on it. These would be great wedding favors, you know? If you wanted to make something by hand, these would be great as gifts for anything that you need to make multiples for some kind of event. This would be a fun thing to do. And again, because you can do it out of air dry clay, if you don't have access to a kiln, you could do these. All right, so those two are done. Let's make another one. Let's make one a little smaller one. What do we got? I've got a sweet butterfly. Let's try that. The ones you use are nickel size, probably the same ones. Probably. The names change, you know, as they run out of stock, and then they get new ones in. You know how it goes on Amazon. Gonna make a butterfly. So the key thing to remember is you make your base shape, then you need to make your pocket, and your pocket has to be bigger than your base shape. This one's a little tricky though, because we got all these bumps. So what do? Well, often what I will do is, to make it easy on me, I'm sorry to the butterfly, we'll have to apologize, but I will give it a wingectomy. The tail and wingectomy. Yeah, I know, it's terrible. But those little bumps are a pain to work around, so they go. That's how it happens. It's terrible. Terrible person. All right, so for our side, let's go ahead and we'll cut it a little bigger. I'm not sure how big I'm going to go with it. We'll play it by ear. Cut that. So we have a bit of a wibbly wobbly shape. Actually, it only needs to be straight sided. You don't actually have to cut the curve in, because we'll shape the curve into our butterfly. And it'll get a little bigger because when we put the bottom on, that'll give us a little more space down there. going to even this up a little bit. So these are all free done, although, you know, you can use cookie cutters to get a really nice curve. The bird pocket magnet, we use a couple cookie cutters to get that curved shape. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and slip and score. Could be an angel. Oh, totally, from here, could be an angel. Yeah. Little head, little wings right here. So we're just going to line this up. And if you make one and you realize you didn't make your little strip long enough, okay, no panicking. Take your strip off, right? And you realize, oh, that strip's not long enough. Let's get another strip. Maybe you need to retexture something, like I do. So go ahead. Whatever you want to use for your texture, put that in. And this is almost perfect, but it's just a little too short. So we're going to cut. And we're going to add, I'm going to add about 1/4 of an inch. And if you decide to make a bunch of these, you know, it's really great to keep track of your measurements so that you can make a little craft foam template and you know that you need a shape this size so that you can get the best possible pocket. Ooh, the best possible pocket. So now, with a curve shape, you see I'm just pushing in a little bit, but still joining it flat. So it follows it. This works best when clay is a wetter clay. Don't let your clay dry out too much because you have to bend it. And it will try to crack on you. So something like this is a little more complicated of a shape, but it'll still work. And then for our bottom, that piece that we made that was a little too short, we're just going to cut around. So this is going to be the shape I'm going to use. So this one here will probably hang no problem. Go back in and trim up our edges. If you get it too wet, use your sponge, take care of that, and then use that soft bristle brush if you want to. Go in, make sure you work that seam well. Where it joins at the top, remember that's where it always tries to crack on us, and the bottom. So here we have a butterfly. Got a little butterfly pocket magnet. Just realized my back wasn't sealed. To fix that. So with the butterfly, let's see, we got time. We can do one more. I got some lips and some double hearts. So, we got to do the kitty cat. I have to do the kitty cat face, but I'm going to do it a little different than I did everything else. So we're going to cut out the shape, and the kitty cat, it's kind of a circle, right? So it's a bit of a circle down there. See if that one will work. I'm going to go ahead and use another circle cutter. Careful. Flipping over your clay slab too close to your slip can get you in trouble. Hold on. That's my magic water. I'm gonna cry. No, I have a whole gallon of it. It's gone. I have no more. There's no more magic. The magic's gone. No. All right, so accidents happen, folks. Be mindful of your workspace. I made a big old mess. But guess what? Still gonna work, so I'm not worried. All right, let me clean up all these little scraps. These get all wedged up and reused. Don't worry when you see these little scraps of clay. I don't waste. I don't throw stuff away. I just wedge them up and I use them for another project. Okay, so this is a bit bigger circle. I believe this one is a 5-inch circle. And so I'm cutting and then straight across. So basically you cut your circle. This one's going to work a little different though. Because it's curved bottom, we're not doing the straight across bottom like we did before. You're not the only messy one. Oh, you know my name's Jessie, right? Messy Jessie. I'll never escape that my whole life. So here we have the bottom, but I think it's too high up. I think we want to come a little further down. So we're going to cut our circle. So basically, I probably am cutting my circle in half. I might take it down a little more. Just about 1/4 of an inch more. Now, you'll notice we have a curve and a curve. So we're not going to have to do any of the straight across cutting. So that's the difference when you're using a curved form. You don't have to do the second part of the bottom. I kind of like curved forms much, much better. So if you're working with a curved, like we did in the bird pocket magnet, or a little face of some sort, anything that has a curve on the bottom. And you could keep taking this down if you felt like the curve was a little much, but I'm going to leave a space because I want to put some eyes in here, right? But they need to come down lower, so I'm going to have to cut a little bit more off. So this is one that after it has bisque fired, we'll paint the face on. So you have to use a brush with magic water. Should you not use finger? You can use anything you want. There are no rules with magic water. It's magic. You can brush it on. You could use your finger and smooth it on. Whatever you want to do. Yeah. All right, so we're going to slip and squirt our little circle. And in the bird pocket magnet class, which I really encourage everyone to watch if you haven't watched that yet, you know, you see once you get your sizing down, and I made so many of those, I knew exactly what size circle I had to use for each bird magnet, for each cookie cutter, so that I could just keep cutting them out easily. So that it wasn't difficult to make 100 of them and sell them all in one afternoon. And they were gone. And I meant to make more, but my life has very little time, sadly, for making things that are not for clay share classes. All right, so I'm just smoothing it out, but look how we have a great pocket on the kitty. Remember to still smooth out this joint here, because this is where we're having our greatest risk of cracking. And then that brush with a little slip on it. We're just smoothing that seam on the inside out, just making sure we have a nice smooth join. And we should be able to pick this up and take a minute, use our fingertip, smooth it out. So these are fun because we get to paint different faces on. So if you wanted to make kitty cat pocket magnets, you could make them with different patterns on it because all kitty cats are different. So, you know, you could do calico, or you could do ginger kitty, or you could do a Maine Coon, or you could use Siamese cat as your muse. What's magic water? just, is it a real thing? It's a real thing. Magic water is water, sodium silicate, and soda ash. The recipe is on clayshareresources.com. And you just add those things to water, like, and use it. I don't even know. Oh, my magic water's over there. Or I grab it. So we got the kitty cat one. Oh, wow. I'm like, could I quickly wedge up some more clay? Do we have time to make one more?
540.
540. It's getting close because I got a lot of prep to do for the next one. The cat face could be like the kitty cat clock. It could. Yes. And you've had good luck. Let's see. Oh, E6000. Yes, that's what we use, right? Yeah. We have had good luck with E6000, haven't we? Yes, we have. E6000 is a really great single part epoxy. You know, sometimes you have to mix your epoxies together. And I like the E6000 because it's a single part. I want to try the lips. I think the lips could be really fun. You're seeing a bird in that pocket. Like little kitty's got a bird in the pocket. That would be a fun little thing, wouldn't it? I'm sorry, Instagram folks, for shaking up. Yeah, lots of the ones I'm using I got from Ann Clark. Yes, AnnClarkCookieCutters.com. She has a lot of great cookie cutters. You know, Debbie from De La Design Gifts, De La Design has some great cutters too. So you could use them as a resource. Amazon, just do a search for cookie cutters. If there's a specific thing you want, cactus cookie cutters, search for that. You will find it. It's all on there. So many things. So I didn't wedge this up super well because doing a live broadcast, but I'll show you what we do. Smooth out your clay, and if any air bubbles are in there, they'll come to the surface. If they don't pop on their own, you can use a needle tool or your clay knife, and you can pop them. See, that one popped on its own? But it's still staying a divot, and we don't want that. So just fill it with some clay and smooth back over it, and you took care of it. When I first started making hand-built slab pottery, I did not have my slab roller. I had to hand roll out all my slabs, and I was making really large platters. So I would need a slab of clay that was like 2 feet by 2 feet, and I had to roll them out. And oftentimes in overlapping bits of clay, sometimes you get air bubbles. And it's certainly not a reason to panic or anything. You just go ahead and pop them. Fill them back in. See all that scrap clay? Look at how much more clay I have now. All of that. It's crazy. All right, we're going to do lips. Lips could have texture. I mean, but I'm probably not going to do that for this. So we have a bit of a curve. Let's see if we can use our circle. I think we can. I need my bigger circle. Huh. Well, ta-da! I got a bigger circle. So you want to look at the curve you have, and then if you need a circle cookie cutter, and you want to be able to make sure you can cut one that will give you about that 1/4 to 1/2 inch. This one will do it. This is got this 6-inch, really nice Attico cutter. I use it a lot. I've had it for ages. It doesn't rust or anything. It's great and very handy. So now, what I like to do is when I'm starting and I'm not sure how much I need, cut it about in half. Save this, because if you make another one, you can just use that. And then we see that's obviously that's way too much. So we're going to cut a lot off. Cut about 1 inch off. But if you make your pocket stick out, so ideally we want our pocket to go to here, right? Because it'd be the bottom lip is the pocket. How fun, right? The bottom lip is the pocket. But we got to trim a little more off. Just about 1/4 inch. And I I can cut a pretty good 1/4 of an inch freehand. By all means, use a ruler if you're concerned that you might not be getting the right thickness. I'm thinking that's going to work. Okay, so let's slip and score our lip. And we can also get the bottom of our circle. And I'm actually going to start, I know it's crazy, on the sides and work my way down. I just want to make sure it's lined up perfectly. Smooth out that join. Now I could have saved myself a step and just smoothed this out before I attached it. That's okay. If I was doing a bunch of them, I would have smoothed them all just to save time. Now let's pick it up and take a look. So we've got some cleaning up to do right here. So that's why we flip it over. And really, you just want to join the parts together. I'm using my finger. You could use a rib. You know, if you have a metal rib, you could use a flexible metal rib to smooth this out and just scrape along, and that will clean it up. If you have the yellow rib I've been using, that'll work. Also, our beloved red rib, which is at my pottery wheel right now. I'm okay without it, though. I heard Kevin start to get up to go get it. But just make sure that that join is nice on the back, and then pout your lip out. How much pout do you want your lip to have? Making sure this part here, remember this is where you're going to have your most cracking, is right here on this point. All right, do we draw a line here to mimic this line here? I think we do. And I found that these color shapers, Rolling Stone lips, need a tongue for it. Yes. You could put a tongue sticking out the bottom. I mean, I need a bit of clay. Let's see. I mean, like coming up, out, down, like hanging down, like whatever you want to do, right? Coming down from here. I'm not actually going to attach one, but for just because we can. You put it on the front, you can have it off to the side. I mean, I just free cut a silly thing. It would be a very silly thing. It might be too big too. But in seriousness, what I want to do is I'm going to drag my color shaper just along here to create a line where the lips would be joined. So we're just going to pull that along, and you're not really going to see it right now. Let me see if I can lift it up and you can see. You see that little line in there? Just to give the idea that you got two lips. And then, you know, look at it straight on. I'm doing this holding it at you so I can't adjust it. But, you know, you'll, before it starts setting up, adjust it so that it looks proper. And that's it. And then you'd put your magnets. For this one, I'd probably do 2 because it's a wide piece. You want to make sure that it doesn't, sometimes when you have these wide pieces, it does this. It canters from one side to the other. So if you put 2 magnets on the back, it'll hold it. I mean, you can put them over on the edges too, wherever you want. So we made lips as well, and the silly tongue, I'm not sticking on it. But I think it's very funny, and I think you could have a laugh with that. So I'm going to put this here, and then you can go in, you know, if you need to do a little shaping, just use your finger and shape that. So we made 5 pocket magnets. Different ways. You can do it with a bottom, you know, cut bottom, more like an envelope, right? Or you can do it with the circle cutters and you get that really nice pocket happening like we did on the lips and like we did on the kitty. So these are going to be really fun to glaze. You know, we put texture on these before we made them. These we didn't. So you don't have to put texture on your things. If you want to leave them alone and just let the glaze do the work, that's perfectly fine too. There's no reason not to do that. So, yay! Pretty fun, right? So that's what I have for you tonight. Next week, so do you depress magnets in the clay now for the shape of them? Nope, I leave the no, they're not recessed magnets. They just attach to the back and they stick out. So your magnet will stick off the fridge a little bit. If you want to, you could do that, right? And you think it looks like a frog. It does! So, okay, what if you put 2 eyes here and painted it green? Now you have a little frog with a little frog mouth. Very cute. See? So, lips or frog, your choice. Didn't get to make one with a teacup, but, you know, I can't make everything. I gotta have time. I gotta have something to do next time. Speaking of next time, well, there won't be a Clayshare Live next week, because next week is day 1 of Clayshare Con. If you don't know what Clayshare Con is, it's a 5-day online clay conference. How do you get your ticket? How do you register? It's free. You just start watching. Just tune in and watch. You don't have to get a ticket. You don't have to register. Just go to clayshare.com or download the Clayshare app and you can watch it there. Wherever you watch Clayshare, we will also be broadcasting on my YouTube channel, on Facebook, Instagram, if I can. Some of the broadcasts will not be on Instagram because when we have to bring somebody in for a Zoom type tutorial, I have to use my phone, and that's what I Instagram from. So I'll see if I can do something for Instagram and see if we can have that happen. We'll find out. But wherever you watch Clayshare, you can watch it. And that starts next Wednesday. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Starts at 9:30 in the morning on Wednesday. Wednesday's a big long day, and then we have got Thursday is a regular day, like 10 to 5. Friday's a late day. We have an after party, a raku firing, a cocktail hour, and then Saturday and Sunday. But you can see the whole schedule on claysharecon.com, and you can find out more about all the giveaways and the sponsor offers. We have offers. We can't put all the info up because they're surprises. Shh. So, and some of them are only during Clayshare Con, so you can only use those codes and discounts during Clayshare Con. So.
Yeah, I don't have any of the deals or promos.
We don't have the deals or promos up yet. Okay, that's easy. Deals and promos will be up later.
They'll probably start flowing in on Monday.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone. Take care. Have a great week. Premium members, I will see you at 6:15. We're going to be making bells. That's right. Bells. Bye, everyone.